I think we should start with Diddy because...
Let's do it.
Can we let me put the legality to the side for 1 second and just start with what an incredible, disgusting dirtbag we're learning he is. He denies everything. He doesn't deny smacking her and kicking her and hitting her on the intercontinental tape. So we know he did that. Mm-hmm. But witness by witness, what we're seeing is this guy's a monster. We've had his former assistants come forward to talk about the abuse they witnessed this week. There was one saying he quit because he just couldn't stand the amount of abuse that he was heaping, not just on star witness Cassie Ventura, but other women too. Mm-hmm. And just pretty much everybody who takes the stand has another story about Diddy abusing some woman. I mean, brutally abusing them.
Yes, and even his, I believe, PA, his personal assistant, was brutalized for... Diddy sent him to go to Whole Foods. I love the details, right? Like the quotidian details where you're like, oh, Diddy's like shopping at Whole Foods or buying baby oil in bulk at Costco, right? Like the sort of pedestrian things that, you or I might engage in. And he said, go get me a gallon of some kind of ionized water. I don't know. They didn't have a gallon in stock. So he comes back with 2 half gallons equaling 1 gallon, but he was savaged for that because Diddy wanted the 1 gallon. So it's like, those details. But this week has seen so many great characters. Like my favorite was the Punisher.
Yeah, you're right. The sex worker.
Okay, the sex worker who is dressed like something out of a Marvel comic, like an S&M Marvel comic, right?
Right,
like
on
the
brand.
mask with the spikes on it, and then like the this and the that. And he's self-published a book called Freezer Meat.
That was an interesting moment where they asked him why.
And the feds had the front and back cover in full color of the illo. Like, it's like wild stuff's going on. And so the Punisher, who I need to start following on Instagram.
Right. He needs to become part of our life.
Definitely. So he's talking about, his book Freezer Meat was about erectile dysfunction.
Right.
And he had trouble performing for Diddy and Cassie. And Diddy, who he the first encounter, in comes this like oiled up black man, naked except for a burqa. like it's these details where you're like, what's going on in these hotel rooms? Like, it's kind of funny. Like, there's something like his dignity, whatever dignity Sean Combs may have had is being stripped away. Like with every single witness who gets on that stand,
Yes. So the lawyer asked him, why would you call your book Freezer Meat? And he said, what's harder than that? And his book is about erectile dysfunction.
What's harder than freezer meat?
I could think of a couple of things. But in any event, that is him, I guess, being self-deprecating. But yeah, I guess he's had a problem with this, which, I mean, frankly, he's in the wrong line of work because you can get away with that as a news anchor. Nobody would ever know. Like, if you're going into the sex worker trade, it does become an issue, I imagine. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about how, I imagine when you're having like forced sex or sex acts with Cassie Ventura and somebody's watching you, what he suggested was he'd been performing oral on her and then Diddy wanted him to, go the next level and he couldn't. And so he's writing about like this erectile dysfunction problem, talking about it, that he's having in the midst of this so-called freak off, making him perhaps not the ideal candidate for the freak off. But all of this is just background to like the serial weird sexual obsessions of P. Diddy and his treating Cassie Ventura like she was a piece of meat, like she was his property. That's what we're getting.
Yes, and some of the more harrowing testimony, I think, came from Cassie's mother, who got on the stand and said Sean Combs personally called her. Like, he could have had one of his henchmen do it, but he personally called her and said, if you don't give me $20,000, I am going to release a sex tape of your daughter. This woman is not for money, okay? She had to refinance her house to get $20,000, which for Sean Combs is like change in the couch cushions. You know what I mean?
He's got that in that Gucci bag he has a security guard carrying around.
He's running around with like hundreds of thousands of dollars so he can pay people off at these hotels, right? She had to refinance her house, which takes months to do. And so she's living in fear that her daughter will be humiliated in this way by this monster who then takes the $20,000 from her, takes it. Like that's a kind of sadism that is so, I mean, he is psychologically such a sick guy. And, I heard your coverage of it earlier this week, like whether or not he's found guilty, he's done. He's done.
He better be. I mean, I feel like you and I will do our level best to make sure that's the case. He's been a serial bully for the people who work for him, for the women he dates. And the mother, she was only on the stand for 30 minutes, but that she told that story. And then once she gives it to him, she's had to remortgage her house. She gets the $20,000. She gives it to him. A couple days pass, he gives it back. Oh, I guess he had like an attack of conscience. Like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be harassing my girlfriend's mother for money she doesn't have. But I think he does enjoy the exercise of just making people subjugate themselves to him and seeing, especially with women, how much he can demean them and demoralize them. There's been testimony this week that he sat next to Cassie on a plane, and I can't remember whether it must have been a private jet, but I thought they were saying it was a public jet. There were certainly other people around, and he made her look at video he had taken of one of the freak-offs, and he threatened her, saying he would release it. Like he was ready to use this and publicly humiliate her if she didn't do what he wanted. So on the one hand, you have that stuff, and you have the video of the beating, and you have had multiple witnesses testify about seeing him beat her. Her friend got on the stand and testified to that. She just had a makeup artist get on the stand and say she saw her after he had beaten her with knots all over her head, a fat lip, a black eye. The makeup artist tried to help her. The assistant to Sean Diddy Combs saying I had to quit because I couldn't take the beatings. Cassie only testified to a few of these. She said it happened regularly, but the prosecution didn't even bring out every beating. It was like all these other people who remember, oh no, there was this beating and that beating and another beating. And what the defense is trying to hang its hat onto is there's testimony from her saying, why didn't you leave? And yes, she did testify. I felt threatened and so on. I was afraid of him. But also she testified and admitted she loved him and she did enjoy the lifestyle. Yeah. She liked the cars and she liked the homes. Yeah. And the defense is going to try to drive a truck through that. Yeah. They put on Kid Cudi yesterday, this rapper. Yeah. And separate and apart from the arson charge that he's trying to build, they're trying to build with him. He painted Cassie as not all that great because he suggested she was dating him while lying about the fact that she had left Diddy when she hadn't. And he used the word played. She played me. Right. She played me and she played him. Right. And the defense too is they're going to try to paint her as like this manipulative, strong, there of her own volition. She loved the car. She loved the lavish lifestyle. She could have left at any time. She arranged the freak off. She called the sex workers. And I just think, yes, that's what they have to argue. But if you look at the greater context of the proof going in on that case, Maureen, it's just so clear that there was an overlying control that he had of her almost from the very beginning.
I think there's no question about that. As for Kid Cudi, it's sort of like, she played me. Okay, well, you're a grown man, and you're in like a very flashy, fast-moving industry. I'm sure she wasn't like your one and only. Sorry, okay? And then the testimony he gave about Sean Combs blowing up his Porsche.
This was crazy. Remember when you and I talked about this? It was just a rumor. She had made an allegation in her complaint, her civil complaint, which he settled the next day. But we didn't know if it was true. And now you've got the actual singer, Kid Cudi, on the stand. Go ahead.
So months later, they have a summit, Diddy and Cudi, okay? The summit was at the Soho House in LA, okay?
Where everyone has their big summits.
After you blow up my luxury vehicle, let's meet for a cocktail at the Soho House. Let's talk this out like in an elegant way.
Are going soon.
So how bad is it? How bad is it? Now, I believe that the prosecution is putting on a witness much as the prosecution did in the Harvey case, round one, which went to speaking to how victims of sexual violence or domestic violence often are in love with their abuser.
They did. They put on a woman who testified in a few of these cases. She was a witness in Amber versus Johnny, and maybe the Weinstein. I can't remember the second case. But she testified just in general. She hadn't examined Diddy, but she was testifying to that dynamic in domestic abuse relationships.
And I'll never forget the details in Cassie's lawsuit, her civil filing against Diddy, which went to, there were two incredibly violent things. One, he had her get breast implants in LA.
Oh, that's right.
And the day after, he was like, I don't like the way these look. And he took her back to the surgeon and said, remove them and put in different ones. And the surgeon said, I can't. She needs to heal first. And this surgeon then said, Diddy made him fear for his life. And he did it. He did it. And then the other one was after they left some awards event, he began stomping her face in the back of an SUV and the driver / bodyguard tried to intervene. And Diddy was like, basically, if I recall correctly, basically, I'll kill you if you don't back off. This is my woman and I'll do what I want with her.
That was one of the rare times someone tried to intervene, because what we've seen these past 2 weeks is people under his employ or under his thumb not intervening and feeling really bad about it, feeling disgusted with themselves for allowing it to happen. But I think they all knew, like, they were afraid of him.
I think so too.
You know, they didn't know what he was capable of.
I think they knew what he was capable of.
Right. That's the better question.
Yeah. Like, what was he capable of?
This July, there is a global summit of BRICS nations in Rio de Janeiro. The bloc of emerging superpowers, including China, Russia, India, and Iran, are meeting with the goal of displacing the US dollar as the global currency. They're calling this the Rio Reset. As BRICS nations push forward with their plans, some worry global demand for US dollars will decrease, bringing down the value of the dollars in your savings. While this transition, if it happens, would not happen overnight, the Rio Reset could mark a pivotal moment. So learn if diversifying your savings into gold is right for you. Birch Gold Group can help you move your hard-earned savings into a tax-sheltered IRA in precious metals. Claim your free info kit on gold by texting MK to the number 989898. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, let Birch Gold arm you with a free, no-obligation info kit on owning gold before July and the Rio Reset. Text MK to the number 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.